So what's going on, guys? You're back with Bryant in the Apex Gaming Channel. I'm about to play a little offline so I can talk about the fight week that we're in currently. We're currently waiting for Darren Till versus Tyron Woodley. It's looking like it's a go for the most part. Reporters were kind of nervous when they saw Till at the open workouts about a week ago. Thought he looked a little big for the weight. Looked like he wasn't gonna be in tip-top condition come this week. So it's still a little up in the air. You know, it's the beginning of fight week. It's Monday. It's Labor Day. We don't know how his camp went. We don't know how his diet goes. We don't know how fast his weight usually comes off in that last part of the fight camp. I know he's missed weight once at 70, I think, but I don't think he's missed weight too many times at 70, but he is getting older. He's a younger guy, but he's getting older, so he's getting up in age. So it's a little harder for him to make weight. I would imagine that it would take a little bit more time for him to make weight more often. And his last fight was a while back, so I guess his body would have fully recovered by now. And then this was his first camp since he fought Stephen Thompson, maybe like 4 months ago, give or take, 4 or 5 months. But he's out here going to fight against the champion, the current reigning and defending welterweight champion Tyron Woodley. Not a fan favorite by a lot of accounts, but he gets it done. He gets in there, he goes in there with the toughest competitors, and he makes them either look ordinary or he nullifies everything they do down to a complete halt. Like if they're good at this, he can shut it down. And that's, you might not want to give him credit for that, but you kind of don't have a choice, because obviously he's doing something. He's doing it right, and it's working, and people who would normally be up there and people would normally be very excited to see him match off against, he kind of nullifies what they do, and they don't really get anything accomplished, and he goes on and gets the W. So he's obviously doing something right. So we're going to go out here, we're going to fight the AI a little bit, legendary AI. We're going to go ahead and see what this Tyron Woodley's working with against this Darren Till. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what I think should happen, or give or take what may or may not occur in the fight. Because it's hard to, you can't predict these things, and you can't do math based upon previous opponents and how encounters went between different people. Because obviously Tyron Woodley versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson would be their common enemy or their common opponent. And they both kind of had similar fights. Only real difference was where Tyron was on the back foot, making Stephen Thompson try to adjust to him. Till was doing the opposite, trying to force Stephen Thompson to have to retreat. And it was like literally the opposite, like push-pull. Like Tyron was pulling and Darren Till was pushing. So they both got similar fights out of Stephen Thompson, though. Like very slow, methodical. Every now and again something happens, but nothing really of note until the later parts of the fight. Just same as Tyron Woodley, nothing really to note until late in the fight, where he got the knockdown, and he almost got it just out of his own volition. He was almost just like, I want the knockdown, I'm gonna get it. Ain't nothing you can do to stop me from catching it. So catch this and take this knockdown, because that's what's gonna happen. And that's pretty much how Tyron did it. Like, he forced it, and the same sort of thing happened with Till. Till just, he wanted to go after it, so he went after the knockdown, chased it, and got it. But you know, it was one of them situations where it was so late in the fight that a lot of people were real upset that the decision went the way it went. But I don't know what they expected. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a fight about damage. It's about all these other factors. And I mean, you know, if you're just watching the fight with no judges, no rules, you would still think that Darren Till won that fight, because in the later section of the fight, he was the one not only pushing the tempo, but he had the more success with the things he was doing. I mean, even though Stephen Thompson might have danced around, got some clean ones off, and clean twos off, maybe landed a kick here, kick there, you know, sort of thing. But at the end of the day, the person who ended up taking the brunt of the force was later in the fight. And it, you know, it's just one of them titillating things. You know, a knockdown titillates the audience, it titillates the judging. It might tip the scoring a little heavy, but at the end of the day, I mean, realistically, like if you're judging something based upon how long it went and everything else, it's hard to root against a person who was rallying towards the end, unless of course they were getting steamrolled from 1 and 2 and then rallied in the end, which has happened to Till. It's been on the other side of the board, where Till was I forget who he was fighting, maybe Nicholas Dalby. You probably, if you're a new Till fan, heard him there. If you're a new Till fan, you probably don't even know about the Nicholas Dalby fight. But Till fought Nicholas Dalby a while back, and Till, man, I'm thinking it was Dalby. It's one of his early fights. Come on, man, with the power takedown. Come on, bro. Of course I didn't defend the power takedown. I didn't even know it was coming. But anyway, yeah, it was one of his early fights in the UFC. He fought a very competitive matchup with somebody, but he was hurting him. He was stinging him. He was doing him all sorts of damage, and just kind of, his tank just kind of went out the window. Well, not even really his tank. It's just, I mean, it was a long fight. It was a grueling fight, because he put a lot out there and was trying to really get out there and get the finish, and he didn't get it. And the other guy kind of picked up steam towards the end. and it looked pretty. You know, it looked good that the other guy picked up so much steam and was on his head, but he had already lost 2 rounds. In the case of Stephen Thompson and Darren Till, it wasn't the case. Like, it wasn't like one guy was all over the other guy for the majority of it, and then all of a sudden the tide switched. That's not how it was at all. It was more like these guys are kind of dancing a little bit, kind of enjoying themselves a little too much. Not really. It looked like light sparring in the gym, like some tempo sparring, just to get a feel for the matchup. You know, it looked more like they were in training than they were in a fight. But sometimes it turns into that. Sometimes what you want to do versus what somebody else wants to do kind of knows each other out. Got him there again. Heard him as I was talking right as the round ended. But you know, sometimes what you want to do versus what they want to do, they kind of null out. And that's kind of what happened there. Like, that fight, they kind of nulled out, and then eventually Till just wanted to get at him, so he got at him. Same thing happened with Tyron Woodley versus him. They both kind of nulled each other out. And then the thing is, like, if that was just nerves, then it wouldn't have happened the second time they fought. It was obviously something technically being done that put them both on tilt enough to make them, like, conscientious of every step they took, and they were watching every little movement, every little small nuanced movement. And it's got to be a testament to something Stephen Thompson does, and something that better strikers or the people with more overall perception could differentiate and nullify, because he usually just runs away with it on people. He usually just kind of does what he wants to do, forces them to make bad decisions, and they start making false moves. Even to go up to Robert Whitaker, who's currently the 185 champion, Stephen Thompson did the exact same thing to him, put him in a position where he eventually bum rushed, ran into some punches, and ate the dirt. So it's got to be it's something in the way more technical guys who are not looking to lose, you know, those guys who don't want to get knocked out, who don't want to lose, who had a lot on the line. They play it differently, and that's kind of how Tyron Woodley played it with him, and that's the same thing with Darren Till. So you can't use that fight as a judgment based upon but you can't use that fight to judge how you think this one's going to pan out. I mean, math says, you know, both guys did well against one guy, so result is that's not true. That's not an honest perception, because what Till does, he usually gets in people's faces. He tries to force them into trying to trade with him, and then he tries to hit them with something long. What Tyron Woodley can do is different. Tyron Woodley can either change levels up, get dynamic on you with a takedown, or he can wait for an opportunity to bang off on you with something real big, something real heavy that you really can't even. I mean, you can block it all you want. Eventually, it's gonna get through, because he got so much natural power, because he's such a hulking person. You know, you got that real hulking build. It does a lot, man, and it does a lot, and it works against a lot of guys. Like what's his name, Dong Young Kim, got knocked out while he was backwards because he tried to throw a spinning back fist. He tried to get aggressive, and spinning back fist is kind of something Till does a lot of. He does spinning elbows a lot, so he's kind of at risk for something like that, because Tyron Woodley saw that spinning back fist coming. First time he had seen it thrown in that entire fight. Look at him throwing one in the game as I speak about it. As I live and breathe, he throws his own. But anyway, like he saw that spinning back fist coming. That was the first one old boy had threw in that fight, and immediately snapped him right in the back of the head, right to the ground. Done deal, Dong Young Kim. And Dong Young Kim was knocking everybody out up until that point. Dong Young Kim was looking like, well, you know, not at everybody, but that was after Dong Young Kim had lost to Carlos Condit. His game kind of changed after he lost to Condit. Like, he got more aggressive. I don't know how he let that kick through. He blocked everything. He slipped everything. He dodged everything. But a moving head kick was the one that got to him somehow. But yeah, you know, the AI, he's over here doing his stuff, this one, moving around, making it real hard for me to hit him more than once, making it, oop, never mind, send him to the mats. I'm playing around though. This is legendary AI. I'm just kind of walking around, going through my paces, trying to get my land legs, get my sea legs in this thing, because I don't play this, and I definitely don't play this often. That's for sure. Like, you should know that by now. If you follow my channel for any extended amount of time, especially people who've been following my channel since UFC 3 came out, you know that when I was playing it, I was uploading twice a day. That was my pattern. 2 videos a day, sometimes a fighter request, sometimes whatever. I just wanted to upload. Look at this guy. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna sit in this position, hold it, and defend every takedown, every transition. That's what the AI always do. They always rotate to the same position and try to secure the same submission. If they got the north-south choke, they all go for it. And the legendary AI is like GOAT tier at submission, like submission holding. Like, they don't even remotely give you a chance to escape. I escaped on that gate though. Even if the time wouldn't have ran out, I escaped from that 4th gate. I was going to get dominant position. I wasn't going to do nothing with it. I was just going to get right back up. But yeah, the legendary AI, they swear that you can't get out of their submissions. They just defend it as you press the buttons. It's kind of ridiculous. It's borderline goofy. But that's just kind of how they roll. And they all go for the submission from the same position. Look at him. He don't even know what to do. He's stunned. But yeah, like they do a lot of defending too. They slip a lot of stuff. They sidestep a lot of stuff. They move their head out of the way a lot of stuff, and you take the stamina attacks. Look at that, pop pop. He walked right onto it. He saw it coming, but he ain't know what to do with it. But yeah, like you can't use that as a barometer for how you feel about this upcoming fight because it's really like they have different styles. It's a different matchup. It's the most different matchup Tyron Woodley could have got at this time. Obviously, him versus Colby Covington was one that everybody was rallying for because of all the trash talk, all the heat on it. But that one makes more sense if Tyron Woodley wins. So if Tyron Woodley wins, it's like, okay, he didn't. Oh goodness, I mean, I knew that was coming like 1,000 miles away, but it makes even more sense if Tyron Woodley beats Darren Till. It's like, well, he beat the young, up and coming, hot, the hot energy that was coming towards him. He defends that, and now he's got to fight the guy who had the interim belt momentarily. Somebody who's got a lot of sting with it. So that this fight for him is make or break. This is legendary stuff. He gets this win, then he goes against a rival. He gets to fight the rival, and then after that he gets to fight Kamaru Usman, who's another young up and comer. He doesn't even necessarily have to win now. And if he wins this Darren Till versus, and then he wins versus Colby Covington, his legacy, which is probably already cemented, is even further cemented. It's like if he wins those two, you can argue to say he's the greatest welterweight champion of all time. Easily, you can easily say he's a better welterweight champion than George because he's fought tougher, stiffer competition, people with more eyes on them, more vigor. You can easily throw that criticism towards him, throw that on his side, and put that forward Tyron Woodley. But he's got to get through these next two. But if Darren Till gets the win, the people get what they want. They get to see Tyron Woodley lose, which is what a lot of people want. They don't really want to see Darren Till win. They just want to see Tyron Woodley lose. It's unfortunate that's the way fans of the sport view fighters. It is what it is. I guess it's par for the course. You can't expect everybody to like everybody, and you can't expect everybody to like everything. So I guess some things ain't for everybody. Me personally, Tyron Woodley, Darren Till, it's all relative. Like I almost never really care too much about the welterweight title picture. So it's like, I don't know. Middleweight was my division up and coming. And now I kind of follow a lot of the like smaller divisions and female divisions. Those are the ones that I kind of keep my eyes on. Obviously, heavyweight was fun for a while, but now DC got the light heavyweight and heavyweight title, kind of ruling both really shallow divisions with an iron fist. So I mean, it is what it is. But I just wanted to talk on that fight, speak on the potential of how that matchup should go, and more so give you a perspective onto how you should think about that matchup. I mean, I don't know. It's weird telling people how they should feel. It's weird telling people what to look out for because there's nothing really to look out for. Look out for Tyron Woodley's big power. Look out for Darren Till's want to trade. That might play against him. Like if I were to give a prediction, I would think that Tyron Woodley's big power versus Till's want to trade strikes might be bad on him. But he's so much bigger than Woodley that in the situations that he can trade with him, he's probably already too close. So that's already a consequence. If he's close enough for Woodley to hit him with something big, then he's already way too close. And if Woodley can close that gap easily, Woodley can probably put him under the bus. But same thing goes for Darren Till. If he can maintain that space and force Woodley to try to encroach that distance, but make it to where he can't encroach it, he's struggling to get past that footstep that he needs to get into in order to land his shots. And if Till can maintain that space and pick him off with the straight right or straight left, I don't know if he's orthodox southpaw. All I know is he fires off a really long straight punch. I don't know what side it comes from. I don't really pay attention to side too much. My mind is weird when it comes to right hand versus left hand. I'm an ambidextrous person, but I favor my right hand in most things, but my left hand in other things. So I'm weird. Like, it's weird for me when I look at side. It's weird. I don't ever really perceive it correctly, but if Till could fire off the big, long shot and keep him at that distance in the striking realm, he does well. But like I said, Tyron Woodley has such a fast blast double and can change levels so quickly. And when you saw he was on top of Stephen Thompson, there was really nowhere for him to go. Till's a little bit more versed on the ground. He's been doing that a little longer than Thompson. And he was a little younger when he picked it up, so he's going to take to it more like a fish to water. So you kind of got that wrinkle going on where Till can defend himself on the ground and most likely will be a tougher test on the ground than somebody like Wonder Boy would be. But you got Tyron Woodley who can nullify people on the ground, even better grapplers. Like Damian Maia is outright a better grappler. If you put Woodley and Maia in a grappling situation where it's purely grappling, all on the mat, Damian Maia is most likely going to best him, most likely going to end up in a dominant position. Not even a dominant position, but at least be able to threaten with submissions. But in MMA, where Tyron Woodley could stuff the takedown, know the head position, prop him down and then pop back up off top and force him to do it over and over and over and over again, Tyron Woodley wins that grappling exchange all day. If he thought that he could have out-grappled Maia from a dominant position, he would have. He would have popped him down, took side control, got behind him, put some elbows on him, put some knees on him, maybe even got to his back, maybe even tried to force a choke on Maia, but he didn't feel confident in that part of his grappling, maybe because of the shoulder. He did dislocate his shoulder in that fight by throwing big bombs. He's got a propensity for shoulder injuries, so that's kind of something Till needs to look out for. If he sees big bombs coming, defend it high, defend towards that bomb. You might be able to re-injure that shoulder or force him to re-injure that shoulder. And once that shoulder is gone, it puts him in a situation where he's got very limited options, and that kind of will open the door for Till to do different things if that happens again. Because shoulder surgery, once you rehab them, they don't recover the way you want them to recover. They don't always come back the way you want them to come back. So I can see that being a problem for Tyron Woodley. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully he doesn't win because of an injury or something of that nature. You know, you want it to be a good, clean fight. You want both guys to show their best foot to be forward, and it to end in a way that's satisfying and both satisfying to the user. I mean, the watcher and the user. Both satisfying to the watcher and satisfying to the fighters. You want them to both be able to go out there and put their best effort. Like when a guy goes out there and gets rolled, like Jose Aldo, it leaves you feeling like something's missing. Like you didn't get to see a fight because one man couldn't take a fight, but in reality, you saw a fight. You just saw the version of the worst case scenario of the fight for the other guy. Best case scenario for one, worst case for the other. It is what it is. You can't gripe at that and say, oh, they didn't really. Like a lot of people were wanting the Aldo rematch. They're like, man, that's not fair. He went out there. What's not fair about him going out there, getting punched in the face and falling to sleep? That's the name of the game. That's what's supposed to happen. Somebody's supposed to get hurt. Somebody's supposed to win. That's how fights are supposed to play out. It's not anybody's fault that he just went down instantly. Same thing with Stipe Miocic calling for a rematch. I said it in the other video. Stipe Miocic calling for a rematch. Blase, blase, blase. You got knocked out. Unconscious. Take a tune-up fight. You got knocked out. Take a tune-up fight. You do not deserve a title shot just because you were the champion previously. That's like saying that you deserve to go to your ex-girlfriend's house and knock her down because you were there before. You used to do it. It's okay. You can knock on her front door, even though her new man's at the house, and go in the house, go in the bedroom, and knock her down just because you were there before, because you've had it in the past. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's literally the stupidest argument you can ever make for a champion, is that because they've earned it, they were there before, that means they can get it back right there off a rematch, because it never works. They never win the rematch. It never works. So do with that what you will. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed Tyron Woodley talk, the pretense to the fight to get you ready for fight week. Hope you enjoyed the hopefully analytical commentary I provided, you know, hopefully. But until next time, it's been Bryant, the Apex Gamer Channel. I know I've been kind of distant, like a distant cousin, but sometimes it works out like that. Sometimes you just ain't got time to be as communicative as you'd like to be. But until next time, see you guys on the next video. Don't know when that'll be, don't know what it will be, but hopefully it's soon. Hopefully it's something you enjoy, and hopefully something I enjoy making for you, because that's kind of like the line between, you know, that's the line between. But see you guys soon.